Morning to you. Now let's get into this. Let me start off with you, Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in the news again. This time around, he's talking about ailments that he's been going through. It's not the first time he's talking about, the chipping in his ears, the sound that disturbs him. I don't know if you know anyone that has suffered from anything like it. I think I had sort of that experience. I wasn't diagnosed for it, but there was a time I had that experience where there was this humming sound in my ears and couldn't sleep, couldn't take in anything because of that humming sound in my ears. I don't know if that's the same thing that he's feeling, but now he's asked for to be let off for medical treatment, but he's been deprived. What do you think government should do now that he's putting this information out there? Because if he dies in custody, don't you think things will get out of hand, especially within the Southeast?
Well, that's a beautiful question. But tiny toss is more or less like something that an average Nigeria experience. Because when there's inability to sleep, right? When you have inability to sleep, it becomes worse because we never get to that age, right? But when you begin to hear sounds in your ear, when you begin to hear hum in your ear,
I've experienced
you're running mad. So at that point in time, you need to withdraw. You need to just go and leave. Because once you begin to hear humming and you're hearing sounds, because it just gets into the side of insanity, because you're already driving yourself crazy. And sleepless night could also could exacerbate right into it, because you can lead to stroke, if you don't sleep very well.
So his complaints are valid?
His complaints are valid, right? He's been there since 2021. That's almost 5 years, right? And his case has not been decided, right? And there was a time there's a verdict from the judge and said that release him and compensate him with 500 million. So why is you still keeping him behind bars, right? So there's some reservation from different quarters that once he's been released, it can instigate or re-engineer or revitalize the IPOB members, right? And the vicinity, the area is still volatile because of this here at home. And even those people that they're calling themselves IPOB, that they've gone beyond measure, that you cannot tame them again because they're already wild. It is beyond whom it can tame. So the government is also being careful because they're thinking that if they release him, it can instigate a lot of things, right? And it could bring a lot of things to pay, and it could trigger a lot of insecurity in that space. But the question is that we can't just assume, we can't just presume. We should release him first. And it will be a surprise to you that even some Southeastern government, they don't want him released. I think it was also on records that they were discussing with the former president, late Muhammadu Buhari, that they should still keep him behind bars. But I think they should release him because his allegation, his concern is valid, right? Because you cannot stay there. Psychologically, you will not be balanced. And if you're not sleeping very well, right, it could lead to stroke. It could lead to a lot of medical issues. It could lead to mental breakdown, right? It can even run into depression. And so if he dies there, it could also trigger a whole lot of things in that region that the country might not be able to cope in the long run. I think a situation called for concern. Okay. They should take it not at a literal level. They should go there, and if they need to also put him in a proper medical care, let them, because he is a Nigerian. Either what has happened is still a Nigerian, so he must be given the care he needs. And it's also in Nigeria, there's what we call fairness, equity, and justice. Yes, someone could compare him with Ugbo. So Ugbo will also be thanking his God that he was not extradited into Nigeria. Remember, his case was resolved in Benin. And so it was resolved and he came out. So if Kanu's case was also resolved in Kenya, perhaps he would have been released for a longer time. So I think the government should look into it. And I was also thinking that perhaps the government should have even make it to form part of its independence speech to be able to say, oh, we release this man to be able to mark our 65th independence. And if it goes like that, I think there will not be so much agitation. They will still give him some kind of kudos for doing that. And another thing, people could be saying that, oh, once it's been released, perhaps it could trigger a lot of people and make people not vote for APC in that region when the time of election comes.
Okay.
But we should not allow a typical Nigerian to suffer injustice when we need to decide his case. If he needs to be jailed, let him be jailed. If he needs to be released, let him be released. Not keeping him behind bars for almost 5 years.
For this period of time. All right then, Chief Dr. Iraye Nama, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think now that he has listed, a few things that he's suffering and it's out there in the open, it might be, they might allow another doctor, because he's saying that the DSS doctor is compromised and his own doctor has been deprived from seeing him. Do you think he will be allowed to see another doctor, maybe released on that condition?
If you talk about release, it's not just a given thing. Ordinarily, we must understand that there is a price for every act committed. My concern has always been the fact that the judiciary is not something that is working for me. The judiciary has taken just too long, and they say justice delayed is justice denied. So that's where I have issues. But for him seeing another doctor, yes, the state owes him an opportunity to see as many doctors as he may want, since he's within their custody. So if he had claimed that this doctor is being compromised and he wants other doctors to see him, there's something wrong in it. The state should be able to allow him have access to proper medical care. Like we all say, you are innocent until proven guilty. So until that is done, you should enjoy the privilege of being innocent. The judiciary should sit up and come to a conclusion over this case as soon as possible. What I don't like usually is people attaching the fact that at every point in time, if this is not done, a zone will go on fire. No zone will go on fire. Nobody can hold the nation ransom, as it were. Nothing will happen. But he deserves treatment. He deserves quick time in his case, as quick as possible. Nobody has monopoly of violence. They say if you don't allow your parents to sleep, you're likely not going to sleep. So that's part of the consequences.
Okay.
But that does not mean that he should die in prison.
All right, Dr. Iraye Nama, when you say that no zone should hold the order to ransom, I want you to be clearer on what you mean, because we see a situation where a group of people from a particular zone say, we will make this country ungovernable for you, and they do it, and we see the consequences. Isn't that holding the whole country to ransom?
It's unfortunate that one thing this country has lost over the years, and perhaps what has brought us this far, is the fact that we do not have consequence for bad behavior. And some people do the things they do at certain points just on their own. The truth is, nobody has monopoly of violence. If the North can be violent to people, the East can be violent to people. If the East can be violent to people, the South can be violent to people. If the South can be violent to people, the West can be violent to people. And I'm not sure if we all require violence as a way out as a country. So people should begin to think and think straight.
Okay.
That one zone has done it at one time and went scot-free shouldn't make it become a tradition that that's what we should be doing as a country.
Okay.
We should tell ourselves
all right.
that no part of us can hold that.
Dr. Iraye, I think we are talking about what is and what should be. But let's come back to the issue of Nnamdi Kanu now. Like you said that the judiciary has probably failed in your assessment because they should have dispensed with this case at this moment. They have kept him there for 5 years. Now, do you think that away from the judiciary, from the judicial track, how about looking for a political track to resolve all of this? Wouldn't it be appropriate for both the person that is being incarcerated, the person that is incarcerated, and the government to find a way out of this? Because it seems to, like a lot of people believe that it seems to have feared insecurity in some part of the country. What should the government do to resolve this thing as quickly as possible?
A political dimension to resolving the matter on ground is not out of place. However, care must be taken for precedence. We've been a nation that is used to allowing things happen, and then instead of finding direct solutions to it, we turn around at the end of the day and give one solution tied to politics. And it's dangerous. Like you said, some persons have either to at some point said they will make the country ungovernable, and then perhaps they gave it political solution. So what happened? It gave others power to also pass through that route. And then we'll keep on resolving matters, not for their merits or demerits as it were, but via political means. I've been one person who had advocated for the fact that one way to treat an issue is to call the matter what it is at every point in time. If the thing is bad, we should follow the normal process and call it bad so that others will learn from it.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Emmanuel Iroyenama, who joined us from Port Harcourt in Rivers State. Well, let's come back to the studio where we have here Mr. Dele Fanimo, a seasoned reporter and political affairs analyst. Good morning to you, Dele, once again.
Good morning.
Now, Nnamdi Kanu is been in detention and he's sick. He says, look, DSS is not allowing me to access Medicare and all of that. And I'm at a point of probably, if nothing happens, I might just die. What's your reaction between his what he has said and what the DSS is doing? Shouldn't he be entitled to Medicare and all of that? As a political prisoner, has he lost his rights to Medicare and all of that? What's your broad reaction to his plight now?
You will recall that on many occasions there, early this year or late last year, I've always said that Kanu should not stay too long in detention. And we, even from what we have reeled out here now, nobody's talking about the psychological part of his
Incarceration.
You know, that tingling sensation from his ear could be even more psychological than medical. How do you keep somebody who is active, who at will picks his passport and travel to anywhere in the world for 5 years without any movement? Somebody who is in his 40s, and you think it will not be affected psychologically or otherwise. So for me, I was just shaking my head when that man said he should be treated otherwise. The only thing that government may not want to accede to is allowing the free will to go to anywhere to access medical. But government owes him a duty. He's still a suspect. He has not been convicted. Even people on death row are still Nigerians. There should be some modicum of respect for their dignity. So he should be taken care of adequately. And the government owes him to provide him the best of medical treatment while in detention. He has not been convicted. He is still a free Nigerian. Yes, he may be incarcerated. You see, when you look at the medical side, yes, you might say he has a prostrate, somebody who has not been active for 5 years. He might even, in fact, I won't be surprised if he has diabetes now, because naturally, somebody who's supposed to be active,
Exactly.
now living a sedentary life, in solitary confinement, there is no way those elements will not creep in.
Okay.
So for me, I think the appropriate thing for government to do is to, if he says he has lost confidence in the doctors provided by the DSS, there should be an independent doctor. We have a whole Ministry of Health. We have the National Hospital in Abuja. If it's not for security reasons, if we will not be taken to the National Hospital, there are consultants in the National Hospital that can be drafted, or in the alternative, it can be moved to a military facility.
Now, bottom line is government should give
take care of him.
Give him access to medical.
Yes.
Now let's leave it, the medical angle to it and come to the politics of the politics. You know, because I recall that on this show sometime early this year, like you rightly said, especially when Bianca Ojukwu
was intervening.
When she was made Minister of State and she said, look, in a matter of time, very soon Nnamdi Kanu will come out. And you had a hunch then that he was to be released very soon. That hunch, has it failed you? Because it's more than 8-9 months now. So how soon was their soon then?
You see, my soon was predicated on the fact that if Kanu had those who are genuinely, not those who are making political capital of his incarceration, those who are genuinely working towards his release, if they had opted for the political solution to it, perhaps it would have been released. But there was this hues and cries that no, we don't want him to capitulate, we don't want him to, we don't want federal government to say he's begging. It is right that he should be free, and so they should go to the courts. And we all know the justice system in Nigeria. Perhaps if we have not had that route of prosecution, and there is the political maneuvering, perhaps by now he would have been released.
Okay, now I'm talking about the powers, people that say, look, we don't want him released to us because he's causing trouble in our zone and all of that. Dr. Organi, I want to come back to you because I think you made allusions to that. Now, the personality of the president, the current president that you know, do you think that the president is that kind of person that will listen to outsiders who come in the day and say, please release this young man to us? We guarantee that there will be peace in our zone if you hand him over to him. And come back at night to say, please, sir, don't let this man go, keep him. The personality of the president that you know, do you think that he's that kind of person that will accept that kind of maneuvering?
Okay, that's a brilliant question. The personality of the president I know is a Democrat to the core. And we also have this knowledge and this perception that once he comes into power, he's going to release him. Because we want a situation where everybody have their fair share. Right, and also wants a situation where people might not be able to question his decision because he has been in detention for now, and we are hopeful that this man should have been released, right, based on his precedents. The precedents of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we know that he should have released him to go, and perhaps you release him and make him to be in house arrest. And so the personality of people coming in the day, acting like a chameleon, and in the night saying that, hey, leave this man here so that we don't have a kind of issue over there. Because in the long run, there's always a saying that says, on easy lies, they ask that wear the crown. Nobody knows the personality of the people coming to meet him. Okay. We only see him as a number one citizen that has the say to be able to allow him to go, right? I think we should keep bias, we should put biasness aside and sentiments aside. We should look at what is right to be done, and we should do it right. So if this man is released today, what will be the result? We should not assume. Let's see what happens. Since once you release him, you still hold his international passport. You put him on the surveillance and say that, oh, let's see what is happening. There's a way you can track my calls without me knowing, right? You would have put some note around there, and which is confidential, And once you discover there are traces, and you could also trigger and bring this to me. So I don't bet in line with what is on the social media that also Eastern, Southeastern, and Eastern government say they don't want him to be released, right? But there's no name mentioned to them, right, to that effect. But we also, you know, some people also look at this man, Ohaze, came up and said that, oh, let the Southeast, let them get united. That the Southwest, they were speaking in one voice. That was why Sunday Igboho was released. That was why they allowed him to go scot-free. Let them come together and let them speak in one voice. Speak to the presidency and let's allow this man get released. And let's see if we are going to have some kind of free movement in the Southeast, because I think there's a lot of development going around there. Maybe let's see if this is being released. Let's see if things will go normal and we are going to have some kind of peace in that side of the country.
All right, Chief Dr. Irayanama, let's try and draw some sorts of comparison between the issue of Nnamdi Kanu and that of El Zakzaky, who also has been in detention, suffered complaints of ailments, toxins in getting into his bloodstream from the debris of metals from bullets that were lodged. But he was taken abroad for treatment. He was taken to Iran for treatment, even though he said treatment wasn't complete, as at the time he was brought back to the country. Can we see that being done? I mean, if you're not releasing him per se, couldn't you escort him out or escort him for treatment and then bring him back at some point? Wouldn't that give some sort of respite, knowing that, and also let the people know that, yes, government intends to keep this person alive while the case goes on? Dr. Irayanama, I would like for you to unmute your microphone so we can hear.
Like I said before, all of that are possibilities. First, he has a right to health. As of today, that cannot be taken away from him. But comparing directly with El Zakzaky case, maybe slightly different. El Zakzaky's case has a religious tone, and Iran was ready to guarantee his being brought and returned. So we also need to look at all of that. The Islamic nation headed by Iran at that time actually was ready to get him, treat him, and then hand him back to Nigeria. I'm not sure any country had opted for that on the case of Nnamdi Kanu. But let's go one thing. One of our colleagues there said something. Is Nnamdi Kanu looking at a plea for mercy, or is he still adamant that he has not committed any offense for which the law will take its course? Because when we talk about political solutions and the rest of it all, a political solution will only come when the parties in question agree or want it. One party cannot unilaterally decide to take a political solution in the matter as it is today. Is Nnamdi Kanu ready and willing to take the part of a political solution? That should be something we should also bring to the fore and discuss clearly. Everybody, I'm sure, at least as of today, one piece. But that piece must have its terms. We must be able to discuss it and see where nobody will want to.
Do you think the man insisting that he hasn't done any wrong is part of the reasons he's still being incarcerated?
Oh, yes. That's what I think. That's why it's in court. And the only person that can prove it is the court. Unfortunately, our judicial system is funny. And they're taking just too long to prove or remove, disprove that simple question. They've not been able to answer that question quickly. That's, for me, is the issue. The government thinks you've done X, Y, Z. You said, no, I didn't do X, Y, Z.
So, in your opinion, what would be the easier way out now? Just come out and say, okay, I'm sorry. Or
the parties, including Nnamdi Kanu, the parties must be able to come. Look, there are very simple things.
Okay.
He got himself involved by way of agitation and whatever he has been claimed to have done, that's where he is. As of today, I'm also sure, in his right thinking sense, he never thought that he would take this route. So it is left for him to say, whatever it is, I did this for this purpose. I'm still a Nigerian.
Okay.
How do we resolve this matter? And that will open up a way for people to say, okay, the man himself is not saying it must be that way again. Why not give him
All right then.
this space to land?
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Nnamdi. We'll give you some time to take care of your health, because I can see you do have common cold. Well, let's bring it back to the studio now. Mr. Fanimo, do you think if Nnamdi Kanu decides to ask for forgiveness and say, look, I'm not clamoring for an independent state of Biafra anymore, we are Nigerians, and I understand, I want all of this to end, do you think his people, his supporters, will back that idea, or will there be a pushback? And how would that affect his case going forward?
See,
as we wrap up?
It's a dicey question you have just asked, because time may have overtaken that armistice that you are proposing. Because this is a case that is almost similar to that of MK Abiola. Perhaps left for MK Abiola when he was incarcerated, when the likes of Adidibu went to meet him privately and told him, look, surrender this, your mandate for now, because who fight and run lives to fight another day. But some people who later profited maximally from his death said no way, that Omar King, that a brave man will never be a coward. Stay on. We are fighting on your behalf out there. Unfortunately, they were plotting. And the rest is history. So, naturally, we can't read the mind of Nnamdi Kanu in incarceration. But the optics there is, a lot of people feel that if he capitulates, then the future of the Southeast is not guaranteed in the corporate Nigeria, that he has to fight to the end. But unfortunately, the gladiators that seem to fight in the morning are the ones that are urging government to say, look, this man will be a big trouble for us if he's let off the hook. So please keep him at least maybe till 2027, when we would have concluded all elections. And it's quite unfortunate. But I think if he would have opportunity of taking decisions solely based on how he feels and what he feels, I would suggest that he would just say, look, whatever it is, let's bring this to an end. I need to leave. And I don't know how to put it. Maybe somebody would have to help me. In Yoruba land, they say, Ashiri lo ngbe jalu.
All right then. We'll look for interpretation somewhere. We'll look for an interpretation. You want to help us interpret?